watching the news. I don't really, there's a person talking to me, telling me what's going on, and I don't really listen to what they're saying. It's just news. It's just news.
You're tuned to The Wire on 95 BFM. It's 41 minutes past 12. If you'd like to get in touch at all about the stories today, homelessness, we're just about to talk about education changes as well. Give me a text, 5395. It'll cost you 20 cents, but you'll be able to contribute to the discussion. Our email is down, or you can give me a call on 309 3879. But right now...
Oh, here he comes! Hey. Minister! How are you? Minister! Answer! Well, how's your wife? Answer the question, Minister!
Counter-Clockwise, thanks to scoop.co.nz.
And we are talking to Selwyn Manning from scoop.co.nz. Hello, Selwyn, are you there?
Yeah, hi Esther, how are things?
Good, how are you today?
Very good, thank you. Bit chilly.
Yes, it is a bit chilly. So, the topic of the day is post-budget government. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's only 1 week into this post-budget phase, and already what we are picking up is National's numbers, and we're talking just in the education area, are already out by $10 to $20 million per year. Now, remember this time last week, we're all preparing to kind of hear what the government's fiscal budget and its strategy was going to be for the next 12 months. 1 week later, we're already seeing the Minister of Education, Hekia Parata, coming out earlier this week and basically backtracking on what the government's position was a week ago in that budget, Esther, in specific things and targeting where she backtracked. The Minister, she said that she was basically backing off the plan to slash numbers in the teacher numbers in the education areas, and in particular those numbers that were announced in the budget were going to eat into intermediate school teaching numbers. In some cases, some schools would have experienced up to 10 teachers being taken out of the what we'd term the full-time equivalent, what was available to each school. Where the backtrack is, the Minister has indicated that they can give an assurance that no more than 2 teachers per school would be taken out of the overall numbers. That's an assurance for the next 3 years. Beyond that is anyone's guess. And
there was a protest this morning outside in Wellington by parents and teachers. But is this much of a concession, having a maximum of 2 teachers?
No. I mean, you can see by the outpouring of anger, particularly from teachers and parents. I mean, the significant factor here is the parents. That's not satisfactory. I mean, what we expect from a national-led government is really a coordinated plan to assure, one, I suppose, over the whole show, fiscal prudence and a budgetary policy that offers some sort of confidence and consistency. Now, if we're looking at just the education area here, there is no consistency and there's no confidence that the teacher numbers are going to be assured in 3 years' time. The Prime Minister came in and instructed the Education Minister to adjust the numbers back into more favourable limits. But at the same time, he gave no assurances to press gallery journalists this week that those numbers would remain after the 3-year period. And what we're talking about there is while those numbers, no school's going to experience less than any more than 2 teachers per school. What we know is that it kind of is, in another word, it's like a cap on the numbers of teachers. At the same time, when pupil numbers start to actually increase over the next 3 years, and that increase is anticipated as the population increases in that younger age sector.
And also in other areas there have been changes. In health, the nurses on the wards aren't being replaced. What's the deal there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a series of areas. The government's promise earlier on in the last term, and certainly in this term as well, that it would not be cutting frontline jobs in its move to cut numbers in the public sector. That's just stacking up when you look at it in real terms as a broken promise already. What we're seeing is cuts to teachers like we were talking about here. Now, surely teachers are frontline public servants. But in the health area that you're mentioning here, we have known for the last 6 months that down at Auckland Hospital, for example, on the general wards and the medical wards, they're under stress, and they're under stress because they have not been able to replace staff nurses, registered nurses, as they leave. And that's placed huge pressure on those that remain. And what we can see is, when we look at it, that the Auckland Hospital has had to use student nurses who are in training at Auckland University and the University of Technology, AUT, and also Unitec to prop up those numbers. So once again, there's another area where frontline public servants are being cut. Also remember that the New Zealand police, they were crowing that they were not getting the money necessary across in the beginning of this year to maintain the numbers going through the police college that replace police officers who are leaving the New Zealand police. So once again, there is a drop-off in the number of overall sworn-in police in the country. And then again, just to drive the point home, Esther, we all know that the government has made significant cuts to the diplomatic front line. So all of these things are all frontline public service people that John Key and his cabinet said they would not slash into, but each one of those can be proven points that they indeed have slashed into, and therefore it's a broken promise.
What do you think we can expect from the media in the coming months, post-budget?
I think that, what to expect, it's a hard one because it's such a conglomerate of different interests, isn't it, and audiences. But what we can expect, and I suppose, is for some media to meet a challenge where they connect to the communities in a way, that are able to identify policy as it impacts on the communities and on real people. And in the last 6 months, we've seen more of that, more of it from particularly TV3. I think you guys at BFM have always done this really well. We've seen more of it, though, in the broadcast mediums on the television stations, and that is a strong signal that the media is starting to wake up, that really the government's policies can only be tested on how it is affecting the communities and the people, positively or negatively. So I think that's the challenge for the media in the next 6 months. What I can see here, and looking at it from even an overview, is that there is a trend that has been established where the government's cuts, while some would argue are necessary to balance the budget and head toward a surplus in 2014/15, they are actually it's a matter of prioritising, and these kind of cuts are starting already now to have severe impact on the expectation of the population. And I think really that's the challenge for the John Key-led government, is to try and hold on to the confidence of the voting public if it wants to actually have a third term in government. And I think, if the opposition parties put up a credible representation in the latter part of this term, then National would be under intense pressure and really struggling to actually maintain a success in the polls in 2014.
Very interesting times. Thank you, Selwyn.
Okay, Esther.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
That was Selwyn Manning from from livenews.co.nz. After the break, we'll be talking to Andreas from the University of Canterbury's HIT Lab about a quick simulator.